and the technology is just a crutch. See, here we're very smart, because there was a point where we didn't just and like like the ancient Native Americans, the Aborigines, they all talk about how we didn't just have, like, I guess you would say, like, before the cataclysm, whatever the fuck that was, you know, before the flood, you know, before the moon came, whatever the fuck their religions are. We didn't just have 5 or 6 senses. Fuck, we had 10, 15 senses. We were talking to the stars. We were talking the language of the animals. We were, talking with the colors of the wind, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we were doing. And then something happened, and something came in and said, shut the fuck up. You're seeing too much. We want to take that visual spectrum down to just the rainbow. And that's it. That's all you get. And we're so smart, and our brains, the way our brains are, is that if one part is shut off, the other part overcompensates. And that's where we're just like, hey, we're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be connected.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole world, everyone was just connected and making stuff at the same time. And we didn't need Wi-Fi. We just were telepathic. And then that's why we was like, fuck, we got to create radio. We got to create Wi-Fi. We got to create all of this shit. All of this scaffolding.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And either we're at this crossroads. We're probably we're past it.
Yeah.
We're it's a spiraling, in a fucking nosedive toward the singularity, where probably 9 out of 10 people, if presented with becoming a cyborg today, would just be like, shit, yeah. You mean I can look at my Instagram faster? Like, whatever the fuck. I think a lot of people would just be like, yeah, implants. Whereas I'm saying, fuck that, reject that, go. We're more powerful without that shit. They're turning us into slaves that they can control.
It's an indoctrination. Yeah, it absolutely is an indoctrination. And if you see the way that, because people, the rise in anxiety, like, you see people that are talking so much more about anxiety during the age of social media, and it is connected, because you see people having meltdowns because their phones are not moving fast enough. They're not getting enough enough brain French fries is what I call them. Is like that fast food to your brain. Like, oh, I need to know what Kim Kardashian is wearing to the Met Gala. Like, and the celebrity worship, and like, all, and it's not just, the funny thing is, celebrity worship used to be specific to Hollywood, but now it's in DC too. Cause like, it's like, Obama, that's my guy. Like, Biden, that's my guy. But it's not about policy. It's not about politics. It's just this idol celebrity worship.
Yeah. They told us not to do that. We didn't listen. In the Bible, not that I'm a big Bible person, but we had all these warnings, it's crazy. I would be in Manhattan, and I worked downtown a lot. And they got that golden calf. They got the bull sitting at the bottom of the fucking, and it's just like, oh, if Moses was here, he'd be pretty upset. He'd be like, God damn it, they built a whole city to honor this fucking bull. That it's interesting how all that symbology is embedded. It's just embedded. I had around 2012, I had a real spiritual awakening, and I started, I was walking around the city just seeing through the veil, and it started with seeing all of these, noticing all of the statues, and noticing all of the pyramids. There's just hella pyramids on the, everywhere, on our money, in the skyline. And you have to say, gee, What's all that about? It makes you sit and wonder. You know, they had this great little sculpture that they put in front of the bull down at Wall Street, but they moved it to somewhere else. Maybe I can't remember where they moved it to, but it was down. It was called "A Girl in Defiance."
Oh, I saw that. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and I love that. Just staring down the bull, you know.
Yeah.
And I wonder what that was about. I wonder what that was about, man. I'm a sculptor. That was my first love. So I always notice the sculptures. It tells a lot about,
What? Yes.
yeah, the if you look at the gargoyles, what the gargoyles are doing. There's a church called St. John's Church in New York. That church, man, they built that. I don't know, in the 1950s maybe, but they have the sculpture and the outside of the church are prophetic. It's like you look up at it and you see, oh, there's 9/11, and oh, it's like they're predicting certain chapters of our evolution, and you're like, what? Wow. You have to take pause, and people just walk by this shit every day. Oh, it's just a coincidence.
They do. I love Rodin, and so the Thinker is my favorite. I think that's my favorite sculpture. I mean that I can name. But I will tell you, the Gates of Hell super freaked me out, and I just watch, and I'm like, they were telling us. They were telling us. They were not, because they were more in tune because they were not on Twitter. So they were listening, they were astral projecting, they were, operating from their psyche and the third eye, and they were giving us stuff for the future. And we just don't pay attention to stuff like that. We just marvel at it. We just love to brag that we were able to go to Europe and see, the gates of hell, but we don't realize, we don't pay attention to what it was saying, what it was talking about.
I don't know that. What do you mean you went to Europe and you saw the gates of hell?
No, I'm saying that's a sculpture, the gates of hell.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so
I was gonna say the Thinker. There was a recent thing with the Mandela effect where, because I remember the Thinker. Fuck, how do I remember the Thinker? I remember him like this.
Yep.
Thinking like that. But there are pictures of the Thinker like this.
Yes.
Who the fuck thinks like that? It's more like he's like a dude like a muscle. So I was like, but there's pictures of it. Is it like, what the fuck is that all about? Mandela effect. That's a whole thing that's just like, I'm starting to believe that people have been fucking with our timelines.